Asked if the end of his pro wrestling career seemed imminent at any point, Seth Rollins said, "On my last meal, I've had a lot of injuries. I'm constantly banged up, bumps and bruises here and there, separated my shoulder more times than I can count, broke my jaw, blew my knee out completely, tore my MCL a separate time after that. I had a little baby girl," and then you start to think, okay, when do I want to wrap this thing up? Mostly so I can be, an active father for her and not just be on the road all the time. I went to see one of my favorite bands a couple of weeks ago, The Wonder Years, and the lead singer, Dan, is a good friend of mine, and he's got this bit where he tells the audience that we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. That resonated with me. The crowd boos. And then he turns around and says, "We've got a lot more in the tank." And that's how I felt. It was a real fired up moment for me, up there in the bleachers, not in the pit, nowhere near the pit. Talk about the lack of build-up to the match between AEW champion MJF and Kenny Omega. Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, "With no advanced promotion, no story, just announce and do it. I'm not going to be critical about it being put on live TV for obvious reasons, because Tony Khan has to service their client. Their client is the network, but here's where I have questions. If you're going to put MJF and Omega on free TV, to do it on a Saturday night when you're up against Game 2 of the World Series in college football, you're going to get your ass handed to you. To make that match on a Saturday night against that kind of competition, when no matter what you do, you're going to get your ass handed to you, that makes me question it even more. I mean, it's bad enough to put that match on television without any build-up, no storyline. No one in the world could answer the question, why is this match happening? Other than making some indie-rific BS. It just makes no sense. If you're going to do it on free TV without any story and build-up, why do it on a Saturday night against Game 2? Not like that was a surprise. You're up against college football. I don't know. I have questions. Staying on this topic, Mark Henry also had a criticism of this match between Omega and MJF taking place on AEW Collision, saying on Busted Open Radio, "There's no way that should have been free. I would have charged everybody to see that. That's a dream match. It had pay-per-view written all over it. Unbelievable from beginning to end, and somebody like a Kenny Omega almost deserves the pay-per-view platform. Maxwell, as good as he is, I even see there's room for improvement. He's going to be so much better in the next 2 to 3 years. His psychology is tremendous, and his ability to captivate the audiences and pull people in. For a young guy, he's beyond his years. Absolutely incredible." Revealing how his father, Shane McMahon, is recovering from his quad injury that he suffered at WrestleMania 39, Declan McMahon told Developmentally Speaking, his rehab is going very, very well. He's gotten back to jogging, squatting, and he's starting to work out again. It's getting kind of difficult for him to bend side to side, but his rehab is going really, really well. He's making phenomenal progress. So the doctor said all the time that he's healing quicker than they thought, and when he tore it, he completely tore his quad tendon. That's a very long, hard recovery, but he's been crushing rehab. He's been doing his thing, and he hopefully will get back soon. And obviously, you want to see your dad be able to do what they love. My dad loves wrestling. On WWE's YouTube channel, John Cena said this about his match against Randy Orton from Bragging Rights 2009. "I think the great thing about an Iron Man match is you can have the luxury of a 3 count. The 3 count can elicit excitement. So if people aren't excited, you can give them a pinfall or RKO. Randy Orton puts we're even at 1. The match had a different dynamic to it. Anytime I can get in there with Randy is great. He and I fit together well, and we work together well, and I love working with him. This is the 4th premium live event, as we now call them, and we had done a lot of stipulations before, and we'd added tons of stipulations to this match of anything goes, and if I lose, I leave Raw. One could speculate that the possible audience fatigue of watching performers together for half a year is a lot of interaction. There's a lot of pyrotechnics, so I do remember the concept of maybe he should. It hit the pyro and try to explode, me and him being okay with it, and not only going to be okay with it, like he really made that work. I think that just goes to show that if we were coming up with concepts like that that, we would certainly have exhausted every traditional method of competition. But the fact that both of us could be like, yeah, that's a good idea and let's wholeheartedly try it, it's like Russian roulette. It's a cool concept, a cool idea, and we were brave enough to try. And that's, I think, when you've had such a history with someone and being in the ring with them so many times, we both kind of knew, like, well, we're going to have to do some different stuff here. Randy is my generation's Shawn Michaels. He has an understanding of nuance and how important it is. He has the best timing of anybody. Like, he's always there. He's never late. He shows emotion as a performer. He's incredible. He makes them difficult. Looks simple. Every second feels like an hour. It appears that Roman Reigns is set to take a break from in-ring action in WWE, as it was noted that Ringside News was told by a tenured member of the creative team that unless something changes, Crown Jewel on November 4th will be the last time Roman Reigns will wrestle in 2023. He has one match against LA Knight, and he won't wrestle again until 2024. Roman Reigns' next match was not confirmed, but it's plausible to assume that he will have a match at the 2024 Royal Rumble event at Tropicana Field. This part-time schedule for Roman Reigns also goes hand in hand with the special care his creative is given. With him suffering fractures to his C1 and C2 vertebrae back in March of last year, Big E gave an update on his health, telling Busted Open Radio, "I wish I had more information for you. Right now, there is really no timeline. I've been to a few different doctors who have looked over my scans. I don't have any issues. I feel great, but I broke my C1 in 2 different places. It's called a Jefferson fracture, and because of the nature of the fracture, it takes longer to heal. Initially, they told me 3 months. I thought 3 months and I would be back to wrestling, but things ended up being more complex. There are chances I might take with a broken forearm or finger. An ACL injury I've had before. Started wrestling when I was 23, and at the time I was like, if I die in the ring doing what I love, so be it. I'm 37 now, and you see life differently, and you have other things to think about. I'm trying to make the best decision for myself and my health moving forward. I don't have any answers." As MJF's contract is set to expire on January 1st, many are wondering if he will leave AEW for WWE. Now, a hint of this possibility has come out, with the company posting a graphic for their All in London event for August, where the AEW World Champion is noticeably left out. For the latest on MLW suing WWE, Ringside News wrote that in a shocking twist of events, MLW filed a lawsuit against the behemoth that is WWE back in January 2022, unleashing a storm of accusations and legal drama. MLW, not one to pull punches, accused WWE of engaging in anti-competitive practices, essentially crying foul play. They claimed that Vince McMahon's empire used its immense influence to thwart MLW's attempts to secure a juicy television deal with a major network. According to MLW, this interference hindered their growth and stomped all over antitrust laws. But hold on to your legal briefs, because the courtroom drama didn't stop there. It was alleged that Triple H himself picked up the phone and contacted Madison Square Garden, urging them to pull the plug on an event hosted by New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor. The wrestling world was left reeling from the implications of this jaw-dropping revelation. WWE, of course, didn't take this legal body slam lying down. They sought to have the lawsuit dismissed, claiming that MLW's claims held no water. However, the court had different plans and ruled against WWE's motion, giving MLW's lawsuit the green light to move forward. It was then that things got even more interesting. MLW, in their quest for justice, requested a whopping 22 years of data from WWE as a part of their lawsuit. Talk about digging deep. WWE, not one to be outdone, presented an extensive list of potential defenses against MLW in what has become a legal smackdown for the ages. But wait, the latest twist in this ongoing saga brings us to October 31st. The United States District Court, Northern Division of California, San Jose Division, decided to slam the brakes on MLW's motion to strike many of WWE's potential defenses. Some of WWE's defenses were given the green light, signaling a new phase in the legal showdown, the discovery phase. What does this mean for the future of the lawsuit? Well, unless these wrestling giants decide to settle their differences behind closed doors, we're in for a legal spectacle like no other. Announcing that he underwent a procedure, Erica the Viking Raiders posted a photo and wrote on Instagram, "I cannot express the proper gratitude and thankfulness to the amazing Dr. Cordover and his incredible staff at Andrews Sports Medicine and St. Vincent's Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama, and to WWE for always making sure I have the best care possible. C6 and C7 fusion surgery was successful and recovery begins now. I'm excited for all the possibilities once my cybernetic upgrades come fully online." Mentioning the status of Bryan Danielson, who recently underwent a procedure for a broken orbital bone, Ringside News wrote, "Excalibur said Bryan Danielson will be back hopefully by the end of the year. This was not an official prognosis, but it certainly means that AEW is hopeful that Danielson will be back in the next 2 months. According to Helpline, typically individuals can resume work or school approximately 1 week after undergoing surgery for a right orbital fracture. However, it's essential to heed your doctor's guidance, which may include avoiding heavy lifting or strenuous physical activities for a minimum of 3 weeks. That being said, with Bryan Danielson just having surgery over the last couple of days, it appears that his in-ring return could go down. Perhaps AEW fans will see him recover in time for their December pay-per-view." In that same interview on After the Bell, John Cena was asked about the current WWE generation and how it will be remembered. He replied, "It needs what I'm not sure it can produce, and that's just a state of where everything is right. It kind of corrects itself, so we're in a day and age where it needs a front man, and that's what will define what an era is, because it takes on the personality traits of its top star. I don't know if, all things considered, the crowd is so mixed that if the company puts its faith behind an individual, the knee-jerk reaction of the fans, even if they liked the guy last week, will be F you, you're not going to tell me who I like." So the audience is also tipping the scales of not letting this happen. Universal popularity will never happen because someone will see it and get onto it and be like, "He seems to be getting popular, let's stop this right now." Also on After the Bell, John Cena would praise Roman Reigns as the greatest of all time in pro wrestling, saying he's a sponge and he's athletic, super intelligent, and a fan of this, and I mean all of this. Most importantly, a fan of psychology. "I say the WWE Universe is the biggest superstar we have. Roman navigated those waters without them. Here's the thing with Roman. I don't think Roman is Roman if he doesn't have a time to work in front of no crowd. The crowd is so against the fact that the company believed in Roman Reigns. I set the precedent of company guy, see ya. Everyone has a tough hill to climb once they become pushed. There is a giant ray behind the curtain. We all know that too. We have to be careful how this happens because we don't want this to happen." That absolutely happened with Roman. It was when the crowd wasn't there that you're able to take more chances that Roman could be himself. There wasn't anyone to be like, "That sucked, that didn't work," because you don't have the instant feedback. Night after night, it becomes this extremely nuanced, soft-spoken character that is not the welcome to SmackDown that they're used to. As soon as they bring people back in, he had done such a riveting program that it was, man, I want to see this guy. He has done it better than anybody I have ever seen. He's the greatest of all time in my opinion. Me watching it, it was very difficult for some performers to work to that crowd. I definitely would have been that person. Roman leaned into everything they gave him and really made it cinematic and so nuanced and so incredible. He got the viewer to pay attention without the energy of the audience. I don't have that tool. I don't know how I would be able to do that because I've never done it. The Firefly Funhouse was it. It's a very interesting environment when you don't have an audience. During a Fox earnings conference call, CEO Lachlan Murdoch discussed why SmackDown would not be staying on the network. As he noted, "We were not hitting the advertising numbers due to the audience of the WWE to make to return for our return on investment to be above the levels that we would expect, but also we didn't attribute enough significant retransmission revenue to the WWE either." When it comes to WWE's reaction to the statement, Ringside News wrote that this remark caused a lot of attention, especially after it was revealed how much advertisers advertisers were paying for time during the Blue Brand show. Ad Age noted that WWE SmackDown's advertising revenue drew around $51,077. That number is up 8% from the previous year. Brandon Thurston posted on X to break down the numbers a bit for fans. Ringside News reached out to inquire about internal reaction to what the Fox CEO said. One tenured member of the team remarked to us to say, "No one is surprised by the comment, and the stock is up this week, so no damage was done." Going over the amount that WWE was given for the Crown Jewel event, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics wrote that the Saudi government will pay WWE more than $50 million for today's Crown Jewel, the price for each event. That's part of their 10-year deal. $50 million is equivalent to about 3 WrestleManias worth of ticket sales. The government continues to punish critics, including Mohammed Al-Ghamdi, who was sentenced to death for tweets critical of the government. Explaining why Gunther will not be appearing at the Elimination Chamber event in Australia next year, Ringside News wrote that while speaking to Krohn, Gunther revealed to the German publication that he is not allowed to leave the United States for the next 6 months due to visa rules he currently has. In theory, this would be solved by April or May, but if it was extended, it would be a problem for Bash in Berlin. That being said, it appears that Elimination Chamber is off for Gunther because that February event in Australia is well outside the United States. This also played into why Gunther isn't booked for Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.